Buckle your seatbelt because I'm Justin Davis and you're going to have some fun today. Welcome back to the Drone Camps channel. Today, guys, we're going to talk about what is my favorite game style remote so far in this giant, it seems like landslide of different micro style, gamer style radios coming out. There is a lot of chatter about ELRS versus the 4-in-1 built-in module. Which ones should you get? Which ones are on back order? Which ones can you even get your hands on at this point? They are so hot right now that we have pretty much just about sold out of the first batch of most of these radios, especially the ELRS versions. A lot of guys are hopping onto those, and it seems that the Zorro is definitely leading the pack. This is the Zorro from Radiomaster, and yes, this is the coveted built-in ELRS 250 milliwatt version. Yes, it is only 250 milliwatt, but you know what? Only 250 milliwatt. I'm pretty sure I could get 5 miles out on 250 milliwatt. And Albert Kim just did a poll a while back asking people out there what's the average distance that people fly, and I think the average distance that most people fly is under a mile. So most of you guys, honestly, you don't need to go 5 miles. And a lot of the quads that we're flying probably won't fly 5 miles out and 5 miles back. That would be an equivalent of flying 10 miles total distance. So that's a lot of battery. And most of the times when you're flying that kind of distance, you better be flying a fixed wing for that kind of distance. And it better have a pretty good sized battery and be a pretty good sized plane to make that type of distance. So since most of you guys are not flying that type of distance, what you want is the higher up you go with your module power, the benefit of that is you're smoking out some serious power, but you're also getting a little bit better penetration for your RX on your aircraft. So that's nice to be able to get a more solid signal to your aircraft receiver. Most of the time with your standard built-in internal modules, barely running over 100 milliwatt. And for most practical purposes, flying at the ball fields, flying even around trees, and say if you were out in sort of a low-lying forest, you could still fly in a low-lying forest with any standard type of internal module. Now, as far as the Radiomaster ZORRO goes, that power is totally fine and totally acceptable for that entire range. If you want to upgrade that power, you also have that choice. You can actually use the light bay on the back. That snaps off, and then you can add Crossfire on there, Crossfire Light. You can also run Tracer, which is also by TBS Black Sheep, but most folks are just running the standard Crossfire these days. And someone asked me the other day, which one should I get? Should I get the Tracer or should I get Crossfire? Which is better? It depends. For me, it depends on what size module bay you have. If you have a full size module bay like this one, then I would absolutely get the full-blown Crossfire that does up to 2 watt. It's actually hard to find that one in stock right now, but this one that you're looking at right here in the back of my TX16S, this one is actually the Beta FPV 1 watt ELRS module, and I've been using that one exclusively since I got it. So if you already have a full-size JR module bay like this one, I recommend getting this. This is working fabulous for me, and it works with those new airplane style receivers that work with airplanes. It has servo plugs on it, and it's just simply called a micro receiver. And you can also do RC cars and boats with those receivers. So pretty cool. They come with pins on them, kind of like the old X9D type of or the old D4R2 receivers. So many acronyms. The D4R2 receivers were from FreeSky, and back in the day, those were the ones that we used for just, our FPV wings or fixed wing plane. Now, speaking of back in the day, someone reminded me recently on the channel about that one of the first gamer style radios that came around on the market, and I'm sure there was one before it, but I'm going to screen share with you right now. The Turnigy Evolution. This radio was one of the pioneers of the original game style remotes, and this one came in the protocol of AFHDS. That is the good old fashioned FlySky protocol. So you guys probably don't even remember FlySky at this point, because FlySky is a little bit out of the loop as far as what's popular right now. And FlySky just created some of the cheapest i6 radios on the planet. They were around $25, and you could get out and fly FPV. You could upgrade the back of the radio's antenna. I saw guys with like a 3-foot antenna hanging off those things, $25 transmitter that would still get you out there for miles and miles. But the Turnigy Evolution was one of the originals, and before that, we were all using the Turnigy X9XR. And one of the reasons that we were using this one initially was that this was one of the first radios, besides the JR radio, that outside of JR had an external module bay on the back. So it would allow us to use modules. We could fly all of our Spectrum receivers. We could also fly these Turnigy receivers. And this was pretty cool. This one says without the module, but all of the X9Rs came with the module bay, and they mean module, they mean the actual module, or they had various types of different modules. And it was cool because this radio would also fly my Immersion RC UHF long range module that I used on one of my original 60-inch wings with a 1.4 video on there. So or 1.3 videos. It's just such an interesting evolution how we did this all on the cheap. And X9R Pro and the X9R was one of the go-to radios back before the X9D came out. So confusing. The X9D was from Tyrannus, and that was my radio for probably about 5 years. And so now Radiomaster comes along after Jumper, making the original T16, and they came out with their TX16S, which I use religiously. And now they've come out with the Zorro series, which I think is just another great product release. When the TX16S came out, it pretty much replaced the Jumper series with their 4-in-1 internal modules. That was the big hype. And Radiomaster since then has come up with just a lot of quality products that seem to be ruling the pool. The big thing about the Radiomaster Zorro, if you're still listening to this, is that while it does come in a variety of different formats, you can get TBS Crossfire working with it. You can get the CC2500. You can get the JP4-in-1. The JP4-in-1 is all the protocols. That's what you should want if you're just an average quad flyer and you're not going to do ELRS internal. The thing is the batteries, and the batteries are only those 18350 batteries. They're half the size, or less than half the size of a regular 18650 battery. So yeah, that's the one big thing. But they do give you the option, and this is the bad boy that you want right here. Buy a couple of these before they sell out, because this is the 2S5000 pack. So that perfectly fits underneath the Zorro, and you get battery straps with it that go around those little spots right here on the bottom of the radio, and you can fit your 5000 milliamp external pack on there. $29, and you can fly all weekend with that pack. So I usually keep a couple of these in my box, while I'm out on flight tests, just in case I have my 18650s goes bad in my TX16S. I have a battery tray in that, but this is nice and convenient. It has that 2S plug that plugs right into the bottom of your Zorro. So this is going to be a great radio for pretty much all pilots out there. If you're into flying ELRS, or if you're thinking about getting into flying ELRS, I would definitely go with this radio. Right now, this is my favorite. And we talked about so many different types of things that were advantages on this radio, like the front facing tension adjustment. You also have some on the back. There is also what I didn't talk about in my review of the Zorro. I'm just finding out more information all about this all the time. There is on the throttle side, on this side right here, there is a hole right here for adjusting the self-centering option for the throttle. So if you wanted it, for some unknown reason, you wanted that stick to self-center, and most of the time, if you have a GPS positioning type of drone, that can be useful. They also give you that option with one of these two holes. So self-centering the stick is an option, and spring tension adjustment as well on the fly. So you don't have to take the whole radio apart to do that. And again, I like the bigger screen, and I like the fact that they give us a variety of formats. So this radio right now, again, is sold out, and you're going to have to wait for a while to be able to get that. But honestly, 250 milliwatt, it's doable, guys. ELRS 250 milliwatt. You're going to go further. The radio is going to go further than what you're probably going to fly it. So you're going to outfly your battery before you outfly the distance on your receiver, and that's generally the rule of thumb with most radios. You just control distance of 2 kilometers. It says that's about 1.5 miles or so. That's pretty far out there. And most of the time, if you're flying out over 1 mile, you shouldn't be flying out there without GPS return to home anyway. So if you do fail safe, you're getting to the edge of that threshold, bam, your fail safe kicks in, brings you back into control space, and then you can take back control of your aircraft. I've done that before. It's not super fun, but otherwise you're going to fail safe to the ground. So yeah, and this also works with, not only does it work with external crossfire, it works with the tracer like we talked about, and IRC Ghost. So some of you guys bought Ghost modules. This also works with Ghost, and this is pretty sweet. So the difference in price is not a whole lot. The ELRS version that I have sitting here, which again is like a coveted one because they're all out of stock, this one's $99. The CC 2500 is the cheapest one. You can get that one for around $79. And that one is still in stock right now. You're looking at that live on the screen. That is one that you can still get a hold of. And people were asking me recently, which radio should I get for my first radio? Starting here is great because you have about, 12 to 15 different protocols on here, meaning 12 different types of receivers: Futaba, Spectrum, Tyrannus. Those are basically the main 3 right there. So pretty much any quad out there, bind and fly, that you can buy, it will support the XM Plus style receivers as well. So you can bind that up. That's going to be a standard one out there. It's not going to bind up to TBS Crossfire receivers until you have some type of external module. But that's where we're at right now with this radio and the state of game style radios in the marketplace right now. It's early February, and the Radiomaster series has been really flying off the shelves. And there are some other built-in ELRS options out there. You can get, I believe iFlight Commando is going to do their own version with built-in ELRS. ELRS is just popping. You can also get the Beta Lite Radio 3, which is also built in, but you don't have a screen on that one. So you can bind up many models to this one, to the Zorro. So I would, again, this is my favorite. I'm not saying it's the best, because you guys get all weird when I say things are the best, but this is my favorite at this point. And yeah, I'm allowed to have a favorite, right? And that's definitely the one of choice. If you can get it, find it anywhere, buy it. You'll love it. And in my opinion, If you're not going to fly ELRS, try to get a hold of the JP 4-in-1 version. That one is going to have all the protocols, all the receiver types in the world, even toy drones. If you want to get something that you can just get and fly and not have to worry about it too much, it's cheaper, $79. Get the CC 2500 version. So confusing that they have so many different versions of this radio, but I would go with the JP 4-in-1 at the very bottom of the screen right there. If you can get a hold of it, that's the one you want to get for the budget crowd. But if you can get an ELRS version as well, 250 milliwatt, it's absolutely acceptable. You don't need 1 watt. If you're going to go the 1 watt route, again, the best, you want my setup of choice. If I'm going to go out and fly today, I'm going to fly my TX16S, this radio right here, and I'm going to fly it with this module in the back. This is the Beta FPV 1 watt ELRS module. That is what I'm flying right now, current as of February 2022. So hopefully this kind of give you a quick overview and just some fun nostalgia down nostalgia lane, and gave you an idea of what I'm flying most currently. This is my most current setup, is these 2 radios right here. I don't need anything else. And I'm flying Crossfire less and less as ELRS gets more popular, especially with the new airplane receivers. I just don't need the Crossfire micro that much anymore lately, so it's fantastic. This is great for me. So I'm going to stick with these 2 for now. And guys, hopefully this helps you. You can check out my links down below. And as always, take my opinion with a grain of salt, but that is what I'm using. And some of you guys want to know. So there you go. Guys, take care, and I'll see you on the next one.